is way too much damage. Stop him with the block! He found Churchill!
Oh, and he found
wow.
Wow.
Oh,
He gets out!
Somewhere there's a covert muffin just applauding this scene.
Holy crap.
Oh man, this is gonna come down to execution in the final escape, isn't it?
Sure is.
Every scene
Our
does.
favorite phrase.
Hello, and welcome back to our Ori 2021 Randomizer tournament. We are here today to bring you a super exciting lower bracket round 2 match between Graham and Trito, some extremely skilled and established runners of the Ori community. Honestly, this is the kind of matchup you would expect to see in semifinals, but with Rando being Rando, that means we get to watch these players duke it out in an elimination match right here, right now. My name is Xemlis, and today Grimelius is gonna be joining me to provide commentary for this match. Grim, are you as excited as I am for this match?
No, I'm more excited. See what I did there?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so as Zem said, this is a surprising matchup, not because of the runners, but because of because we're in the lower bracket. First, Zem, I'm sorry, not Zem, you're not running. Grem, over on the left, a very experienced player, also our volunteer coordinator is probably an accurate title. Grem is a hybrid player, which means that she'll be spending most of her time, like during regular gameplay, on controller, but will swap to keyboard mouse for certain sections, presumably for save anywheres, maybe even for something like grenade jumps. What about Tritonite?
Yeah, so Tritonite also likes to destroy controllers, but more by offering them, having switched to KBM quite a long time ago, mostly for that advantage it provided in all skills and all sets and out of bounds. Having sticked with it, adapted very well, now one of the, if not the generally considered best Ori randomizer player at the moment, has some incredible level of execution, especially when it comes to seeds that provide all the jet skills, like those storm cancels, those grenade jumps, bash, all this kind of stuff. And speaking of which, we are playing on a certain flag today, aren't we?
Yeah, we're playing with a flag which is called Wall Starved. What Wall Starved does is, without going into the technical details too much, it makes it less likely for runners to get wall interaction, that's wall jump and or climb, in the early portion of the seed. In practice, that means it's more likely that you get other skills which are generally more powerful and faster, charge jump, bash, dash, whatever it might be. So, Zem, as you described it to me while we were setting up for this, Wall Starved is effectively the jet seed flag.
Yes, and it looks like we are ready to go. All right, Cornelius, we don't have a lot of time. What do you think is
It's
our
dash.
first skill?
It's dash.
All right, I'm
It's
saying
dash.
charge jump.
It's not dash.
It's a keystone.
You know, I thought it might have been dash for a minute there. I got my hopes up, but that's okay. Even if it was dash, we would still need some minimum number of keystones to beat the game. Some keystone doors are avoidable, some are not, and one early keystone, as always, indicates that it's likely that we'll end up going through Glaze pretty early.
Yes, there is the 2 keystone Noah right after the 4th pickup of the game. So if our runners find the second one, oh, there it is now very likely that we are just gonna get a classic 2 keystone into wall jump 3 opening, unless there is, well, perhaps the charge jump or the bash right here on the next 2 pickup. But for now, our runners are just gonna pick up sign, get their auto attack, and will now use Alt R to return to the start of the game and get over to do their last 2 checks of the first 4.
Yeah, and even if one of these 2 pickups is, some way into Blackroot, it's likely that they'll end up going through Glades anyway. I mean, we'll see in a moment what these remaining 2 pickups are. I also wouldn't expect to see major execution advantages. Maybe we'll see Tritonite just gain little bits of lead here and there, but I mean, Grem is our 15 seed. That's still pretty high.
Yes, indeed. As you alluded to, Trito, obviously, with a lot of speedrunning experience, you get to reset in Glades a lot, and that means getting a lot of micro-optimizations done in here. So far, we've seen Wind Restored for our runners. That might come into play later if our runners find Glide and early left side access for some really fun openings. The experience amount underwater being a bit on the higher side, but not too much. I wouldn't be reading too much into this. And we're getting one of the worst starts possible. There's a Swamp TP.
Yeah, the Swamp TP is really fascinating because there's a reasonable amount of stuff near Swamp, but a lot of it is inaccessible without additional skills, and it's not as near to trees as something like the Grotto Teleporter. It's something that certainly these runners will take if they have to, but I think they'll both be hoping for some... Well, there we go, there's Charge Jump. That gets some additional pickups in Glades along with one off to the right of spawn, and will get them access to Blackroot if they so choose to go there after they Altar, which I would expect to see.
Yes, indeed. It is indeed a tournament lead. We are getting early charge jump. Warstaff certainly having we're getting that. And this is on one hand really nice, right? Charge jump being 1/3 of the Triforce, of course, being able to be used for grenade jumps. It's a super powerful skill, generally thought about as the third best skill of the game, and it's just super versatile and useful. But on the other hand, we got the Swamp Teleporter, so all the early logic reading you can normally do in a start like this will become quite a bit harder now that basically the entire right side of the map is already open only 3 minutes into the game.
Yeah, that's right. If you get the Grotto Teleporter with just Charge Jump, you can't actually ascend up out of there unless you use a Micro Ledge, which puts it out of logic. But the Swamp Teleporter, as you said, no such restriction. That said, it is very likely that Tritonite is going to check this pickup off to the left, go ahead and Altar, probably go ahead and check the pickup. Never mind, I'm sorry, Tritonite is going to ascend up out of here, probably heading towards Spirit Caverns, which he does have enough keystones to open. Grem looking to be making a similar choice.
Yeah, these two play a lot together, and you can already see it in their routing, having very similar thoughts about how to route an early game of the seed. This backtrack with Charge Jump is actually like one of the only situations where backtracking instead of alt-Ring is faster, and our runners, being this high level, obviously know about this, will now go into Spirit Caverns, try to placing the seed before, the save before saving here, has the option to save scam, but so far we already got a map stone and an energy cell, so I'm not sure if he will want to save scam here. Actually,
Fascinating.
up for the key cube already. Oh,
Now,
I
okay.
like this.
Do you know what's cool about this key dupe? Not just the key dupe itself, which is very fast to do with Charge Jump, so that's a smart call. Tritonite performed that key dupe before checking all of these pickups, which is smart because you have to die to do the key dupe, which means that if any of these pickups were valuable, Tritonite would have had to waste valuable time recollecting them. Decided, nope, we're just going to do the key dupe and then check it. That's a hell of a heads-up play.
Yeah, and look on the left side, Graham actually having the exact same idea, also going for the key dupe.
These absolute geniuses.
There is no divergence here whatsoever. Both of our runners are gonna head up into the Charge Flame Tree area, which can come into logic very early on this kind of a seed. And it's also with the way logic is kind of set up with these progression bubbles. It is kinda a nice option, a bit on the percentage play side. With this, our runners are gonna get their second tree at the Charge Flame Tree and will not be offering any early checks on their clear on the search for the second kill.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating routing. Tritonite just a little bit ahead over on the right side, whereas Graham on the left has opened up along, save they knew where to skip this this Grove cutscene. One nice aspect of having Charge Jump is that Tritonite is easily able to leave this little nook where the Charge Flame Tree lives. Ordinarily, you have to do something a little trickier to get out.
Yes, and interestingly enough, we have something you don't generally want to see all the game with this kind of skill set. We are already at 4 energy. That means Glazer is now a thing our runners have to worry about. Right, just getting one extra check out of the way. Distinctively not using that energy to open the Death Gauntlet door, because that is utterly useless for him, with him not being able to get up there with just Charge Jump. So the next thing really is to see, will try to continue routing for trees. Yes, opens up the save anywhere, will now be heading into the cutscene trigger momentarily, saving the game right here as Ori stops, and once we reload, we get to skip the cutscene, no law for us.
Yeah, Graham making the exact same choice. The degree to which these two runners are making the exact same choices, just with Tritonite being a little bit ahead due to cleaner execution, is remarkable to me so far. I mean, we're only 6 whatever minutes into the seed, but still.
Yeah, this is an extremely open seed, and there's certainly something about to be said about how our runners just continue to do the exact same things here. Trito is now gonna head up into Blackroot, gets to skip a little bit of auto-scrolling thanks to his charge jump. Not a lot, we will still need to do the final auto-scroller, but at least we get to skip the early parts. Can now head back up here with the charge jump, skipping the first platform beautifully. Now can either go for the micro ledge or just show off his skills and jump up directly. Will now be opening this lantern door and can then head into the auto-scroller section. And with this, we are very close to getting to 3 trees.
Yeah, we are. A reminder for anyone who's maybe not watched as much Ori Rando, we're playing a mode called Clues, which means that on trees 3, 6, and 9, the runners will get one random clue to the location of one of the dungeon keys. Notably, we need to get the Water Vein and the Sunstone in order to finish every single seed. We may need the Gumon Seal, but only if Forlorn, itself contains additional progression. And even then, we don't necessarily need it.
Yeah, the Fallen Teleporter being the only dungeon teleporter left in the item pool also made sensible recently, but I am 100% sure neither of our runners are gonna get that. For now, we are off to more cutscene skipping here. Try to starting up the classic blind move, or not blind movement, or rather cutscene stacking section here of the Blackwood Burrows, doing Crusher movement, finding charge dash efficiency, both dash upgrades now. I'm sure our runners want to see that skill very soon. Now, going into a specific spot, stacks another cutscene, stacks yet another cutscene. We have our 3 skills, and yeah, with this, that is our clue number 1.
I didn't see what it was, but I'm sure that a clue was had, and we can just appreciate that.
Yes, I am calling it clue number 1 because I too have not noticed what the clue is, but I'm sure our runners do.
Here's what you have to know about Rando, is that even though clues are very important, it's also very, very easy to not look at the clue. Anyway, Tritonite, as before, just pulling a little bit ahead of Graham, although they've made the exact same routing choices so far. Nothing valuable was at that mid-Blackroot AC, so Tritonite is going to go ahead and head down, grab this Boulder experience, which is Bash. We now have 2 very powerful skills, Charge Jump and Bash. That's going to open up a lot of the seed.
Yeah, we got skill 1 and 3 of the rankings right here, Bash and Charge Jump. This will also make routing so much nicer. I am pretty sure we are not gonna see a Swamp play here. Instead, Trito can just grab this Frankie if he wants to, and skip over the entire Swamp Loop area. We will see if he actually goes for that or decides to get some extra checks in, because this early game is so open. We will see that just after this save right here. Graham, meanwhile, right on Trito's footsteps, gonna get a little energy refill here as Trito's heading over to the right and does
Interesting.
Right, with the Bash, he can now go through Death Gauntlet and get a teleporter on the way to the most dense area of the game.
See, this is really interesting. Ordinarily, when you get bashed down in Blackroot, as you said, Zem, you can double bash that Frankie and get into the lower part of Grotto, but that doesn't get you the teleporter. Normally, that would be considered a, not incredibly advanced, but a relatively high-level play. But in a seed like this, Tritonite can much more easily go through the Death Gauntlet while getting a lot of pickups. We're still in the early game. Even though we have those power skills, we still need health and energy and keystones. Pretty much everything is valuable to some degree, even experience at this point. So I think this is a smart play, and it's still going to be very fast for Tritonite to get back down to the place that he would have accessed early through that double bash trick.
Yes, and Graham going for the exact same play.
Amazing.
Yet again. I cannot overstate how uncommon that is to see. I just love this so much right now. But yeah, as alluded to, with this play being made, our runners can really reduce their amount of backtracking as well as dead end zones, kinda, where you would maybe need to revisit the grotto area and then stop at the water vein and track back up. Stuff like that just gets completely eliminated with this kind of routing. Instead, we are gonna have linear clears on the way to the trees. Nothing left behind except for, of course, unfortunately, our plans. Those are still unopenable. Meanwhile, Trito checking that underwater pickup, has no way to get out and save his keystone, so instead he's reloading, setting up the bridge cutscene. Skip will save here, reload again, get catapulted up into the air, and is off to his water vein and lower grotto shape.
Yeah, I want to point out while Tritonite was doing that, and we'll continue to see what Tritonite gets. Tritonite currently being our trailblazer in the seed. Graham had a little bit of trouble in the Death Gauntlet, didn't die or anything, but had to take some unusual routing in order to have enough health to check the pickup in the Poison Swim. Tried to do it once and just barely missed that pickup. So that's going to give Tritonite a little bit more of an advantage. Of note, Tritonite is in the lead right now. We can say that pretty unambiguously, but there's a lot of seed left.
Yes, and speaking of a lot of seed, we just got our first dungeon key right here in the bottom of Grotto. We have the water vein for Trito here, so if our runners want to, they can head 2, 3, 5, and 6 very easily right after finishing the double jump tree here. Honestly, if we are so close to a go mode, and that's just all you need to know about how powerful these two skills are we have here.
Yeah, it was a nice double bash sequence by Tritonite, not the most complicated one to get to one of those pickups up on the far left. Tritonite, of course, does have charge jump. What he does not have is wall interaction. The reason he doesn't have wall interaction is, remember, we're playing on that wall-starved seed. What you get in terms of power skills, you sacrifice in terms of wall interaction. Tritonite is going to leave that Grotto Vault without full clearing it, which is a reasonable play. Also has another map in his possession.
Yes, at this point you already found 2 pieces of progression here, right? You had oh, wait a moment. Alright, get the micro ledge first.
What
try.
a cool
Very nicely
ledge.
done. Yeah, that that has a lot of failure states, but we're not gonna see any of them with a runner like this. But yeah, you already got your bash progression in the you got your bash progression down in Blackroot. You got your water in here, right? At this point, the seed kind of says, alright, I opened up a lot for you. So skipping those 2 checks that take, honestly, a lot of time to check in the Grotto Wall. Totally reasonable play here.
Yeah, Tritonite died there, but that's fine because he made a safety save. That may have even been an intentional death. Getting that keystone within the little crusher nook without wall interaction, you usually have to take at least 1 damage. And so, like I said, Tritonite died, but it didn't matter at all. Tritonite, continuing his lead, will be the first to reach double jump tree. This is tree number 4.
Yes, indeed. And, well, I almost feel like I'm repeating myself, but Graham going for exactly the same checks. That dash on the double jump tree! What is this seed?
This is the jet seed. That's what this is, plain and simple.
Yeah, this is what you want when you click that wall stuff flag in your seed preferences form. Getting charge jump, bash, and dash already has all the dash upgrades that you can find as bonus skill. Both the extra air dash, allowing you to get an extra air dash once you skill that as Trito just did, and the charge dash efficiency basically doubling his energy pool for the sake of start dashing later. Both of that will come into play gigantically. And with dash, we are gonna see some more cleanup, because now getting things gets a lot faster. Seeing the fall-on teleporter on Graham's side, I think try to skip that earlier, correct me if I'm wrong here.
I think so, yeah. Graham also had a little more trouble with that same micro ledge, but I do want to point out, just about a minute ago, Graham had what I thought was a very effective save scum of some of the left side pickups. So, good job by her.
Yes, definitely. But yeah, the follow teleporter, I can pretty much say Trito is never gonna revisit this area. So if something important is in Forlorn, and we're already seeing the Gumon steal, the Forlorn area is in logic with this. We have both the Gumon seal and the Forlorn teleporter in accessible areas. If something important is in there, just saying, that could matter later. But for now, we don't know that. We are just seeing some area clear on the search for resources as Trito is setting up for swamp entry.
Yeah, we also see Tritonite already checking some pickups, not so much along the main path, Dash, by the way, being acquired by Graham over on the left. But for example, Tritonite would have had the option there to go to the outer swamp loop, maybe save some of those pickups. I'm pretty sure that frog shot just kind of didn't clear the floor. Spirit Light efficiency for Tritonite. A lot is going to start happening very, very fast with that bash and that dash. Tritonite, through his play so far, very much indicating that this may be go mode. It's still kind of difficult without maybe 1 or 2 more things, but it's pretty close to go mode. and so Trite Knight is going to start playing it, I think, more aggressively.
Yeah, this kind of thing he just got there, the mega health. If that was right next to the final escape, I think he would be comfortable with this go mode. But just now, the only thing really stopping him from just demolishing the seed are resources, as this particular final escape is a bit damage heavy, especially since we do not have clean water, and there is that one fire damage boost you kinda have to do when you're going for this. So I'm thinking he will probably want to check things until he finds either enough ability sets to go all the way to Ultra Defense or some other stuff on the way that helps with that damage boost. For now, try to getting his 5th tree there. Now has the option either to start doing stuff like reverse Frankie walking into grenade trees, start heading left side, or just teleporting straight to Ginso and checking, going for the bash tree on tree 6. Would get an extra hint for that, but no, he will be going for the grenade tree by walking this Frankie over to the floor.
Yeah, this Rocky Walk is something that you can do. It's certainly not in standard logic. It's something that you can perform with a variety of skill sets. Bash dash, you might even be able to do it just kind of plain if you do a regular reverse crusher walk thing. With dash, Trite Knight can do this pretty easily, keeping enough distance from that Frankie to have it shallow hop underneath the brambles. So far, so good. Just has to get this thing over to the floor. So Trite Knight should get this floor open very quickly. Reaching the grenade tree itself will also be pretty trivial with this skill set.
Yes, indeed, and we do see some ability points stored up, so there will be no lore. Beautifully just skips the laser cycles. If you do your movement correctly, the laser won't hurt you. We'll now be getting some extra checks out of the way, while here, as said before, we kinda need some resources. Checking kinda hard-locked areas like this, which can give you like a bit of information on climb or stomp here. Also, never a bad idea. Let's see if he also decides to go for the frogs. No, will rocket jump back up and now be heading over to the grenade tree area. Gonna set up a safe anywhere right after getting this pickup. Charge dashing. Don't die. Alright. Nothing was even close here. Try to have more than enough health for this. Reloading, skipping about 3 years of cutscene and heading to the grenade tree. As Graham kinda also follows that route, heading to Stomp Tree very soon here.
Yeah, we're continuing to see not identical routing anymore, but very, very close. Grim has checked just 1 or 2 things, including that Forlorn teleporter that Trite Knight hasn't. But Graham doing a double bash to get up top. Nice job with that mega health. We also saw Trite Knight when he went to his Stomp Tree doing a similar double bash chain on one of the fish. Remember that Graham and Trite Knight don't have wall interaction, so they have to use some alternate means to get up. Looks like Graham is just going to do a rocket jump. Well done. Where's Trite Knight off to next? Back to Swamp.
Yes, try to really being annoyed at not getting the Sunstone clue on tree 6 here, but what can you do? Not everything can fall into your way like a bash, dash, and charge jump did. So instead, Trito is now gonna opt to go into Ginso as his 7th tree. I'm interested to see there are 2 options here. Either you or 3 really. Either you go to the bash tree, you go to the banana stand, or you grab the teleporter just in case of a Sunstone. The latter would need key duping at current resource levels. But I'm honestly not sure what I would be doing here at this point, and we will see what Trito thinks about this.
It's a difficult choice, as you alluded to earlier. Starved seeds in various forms, whether that's resource starved or skill starved or whatever, can be frustrating, but they can also be easy on your mind. You know, you don't really have to make a lot of decisions because there's so little available to you. In a seed like this, almost everything is available, and so you have to be very smart if you want to beat the seed quickly. For example, Trite Knight, as Grem right now, has the option to go left side pretty much at any time, but the reason Trite Knight isn't, and I would guess the reason Grem isn't, is that getting these right side checks are generally faster, and you might stumble upon a very valuable left side teleporter anyway and save yourself a lot of time.
I think Graham is actually... Oh, the clean water in Ginso! Okay, that is huge. That really reduces the resource burden for their final escape. So I don't think we need too many more resources for our runners to be able to finish out if they want to with the skill set. But what I was going for is Graham skipping the lower back road. That's one other thing where you can save a lot of time, right? The reverse Frankie walk was beautifully executed, but we saw how much time it took, and if Graham finds Climb or Stomp on the way, that would help a lot. Sadly, there isn't Climb in here. There's certainly wall interaction in here. It's just wall jump though. That doesn't help that much. There's like a bit of height things going on if you have both charge jump and wall jump and are doing that near wall, but nothing too major that would unlock new areas or anything like this. And Tryto is indeed heading up further into Ginso, already getting one extra skill out of it with the wall jump right next to the bash tree. And now we're into the banana stand. There's always something here, as we like to say. Let's see if that holds true for this C2. We still have 2 pickups right here. It's just a keystone here, just some XP, and alt Ring out. So let's just hope the Sunstone isn't up in Ginso.
I think that's the smart play. As you said, to get through that door it costs you 4 keystones, which Tritonite would have to dupe to get, and there's no guarantee that the Sunstone ends up being in there. And with this skill set, even if Tritonite has to revisit the Ginso tree, go all the way back up there, it won't take very long. And statistically, it's unlikely to be in Ginso anyway compared to every other place it could be.
Yes, that is true. The one funny part here is that our runners still don't have any logical blue breakage, so they can't go left side, they can't break any plans and all of that stuff. I am not sure what the situation with horror fields is at this point, with having bash, air dash, and charge jump. I would need to look that up, but there are some kind of out of the way pickups, right? We have the underwater swim in Spider Lake now that we have clean water. We have fun stuff like Regression Vault and how's the other one called? Glazer, and all these things. But I think our runners are pretty comfortable with what they have, and we can see Tryto already getting his Frankie over here, doing some more checks on the way, but heading left side now, and I'm interested to see how he's gonna order his left side trees.
Well, the major question remaining right now, and Zem, you can tell me whether you agree with this, is just where is the Sunstone? Runners at the execution level of Tritonite and Grem will be similar in this regard. Tritonite can easily do this trick. You're seeing another Frankie walk. Frankies being very versatile tools in Ori speedrunning, including the randomizer. Gonna bring it up top. Tritonite can do everything that he has to do. It would be better to have Glide, but he can still do it. The question is, where is Sunstone, which may require a revisit, but importantly, there are some pickups in the world that are hard locked behind Grenade and Stomp. And so if Sunstone is one of those, we might have a situation that's a little more interesting.
Yes, so there is a clue for both of those things at the end of the Fallen Escape, and our runners have access to it. The only problem is finishing the Fallen Escape kind of requires more than what they have right now, so they would not be able to go for clues. They would be blindly digging around for skills. I do not wish that on anyone, especially not Tryto after that experience on the last hit. Alright, I want to see, does he do Stompless here? Yes, he will set up for Stompless. Is very happy with his first shot already. Now, walking over to the right here, just gonna duck around a bit. Beautiful. And gets it first try on the first shot. I cannot overstate how hard that is.
Tritonite is just really showing off that execution advantage. I heard Tritonite described by someone a little while ago as such a terrifying opponent. He's someone with an immense amount of routing knowledge, but also an insane level of execution that doesn't seem to diminish to nerves. Or if Tritonite is nervous, he certainly isn't showing it in his gameplay.
And meanwhile, speaking of execution, Grim sadly taking an unfortunate death, losing some time there. We are now at the difference of basically a full tree, that one being the feather quote-unquote tree that Tryto just got. And we have 2 options now. Are we? Oh, there's Jump on the Kuro Perch! I love this! Alright, stair cancels, here we go. Tryto absolutely loves that tag. And with this, we are heading off into Misty for some nice movement here.
Yeah, this Misty tree will also be tree number 9, which is smart from Tritonite. Remember that we don't know where the Sunstone is. Similar to Ginso tree, Misty Woods is somewhere where if something is in the latter half of Misty Woods, you end up having to do a pretty costly revisit, which can kind of suck. So what you're going to see Tritonite doing is checking everything in the first half, not because he needs more resources, just because he's looking for that Sunstone, and if he gets more resources, well, you know, that's cool too. And then, if it turns out that the Sunstone is in Misty, Tritonite can just continue on. This is something where if Tritonite had done a different tree first, then he might Well, he might have missed out on that second half Misty.
Yeah, and try to really showing off that trailer intro movement there with the bird bashes. You can all guess where that comes from now, with him showing it off again without a problem. And we have so much energy here at our disposal. All that energy, charge dash efficiency, and now stair cancels on top of that means try to clinch his Q, and there's the stuns down randomly in Misty. Oh my god, we are so heavily in go mode right here.
Yeah, that's right. Getting to the charge jump tree is still going to be not trivial. To be clear, it's something that Tritonite can and will do very, very shortly, but it's not going to be as easy as with Glide, so I'm curious what exact route Tritonite's going to take, but it really shouldn't be too big a deal.
Yes, indeed. And I would assume we kind of get some standard, oil skits, Sorrow Bash, then a Frog Break, then maybe some zombies through. Certainly has the option to take a Tumbleweed here, but he has such an immense pool of ability sets. I do not think he will want to take the time to get the Tumbleweed slowly through the Rito caves here. Now heading up for the rocket jump, gets onto the left bird rise, throws Willem off the cliff. Wrong sound to hear that, but just believe me, there was a Willem scream there. Will now set up for Sorrow Bash. 2 double bashes, 3 double bashes, 4 double bashes. Oh, gets the angle just nice. 6 in a row. Here we go. Will now charge this instead of rocket jump, but everything is fine. Now off the frog, kinda does a stomp stall so that the floor actually breaks. And now is the question: does he wanna go all the way up, or does he want the tumbleweed? He wants to go all the way up. Opens up the zombie, and with this 2 charge dashes here, can now just jump through. 1 zombie right here, and we are off here. And do we have enough keystones? Yes, we do. Try to add his 10th tree.
Yep, Tritonite also leveled up Ultra Defense. We're just loaded. Well, we were loaded, now we're a little less loaded. But we do have Ultra Defense. That's something that Tritonite didn't need, especially with that clean water find up in Ginso. But it never hurts to have. I do want to point out, while that was happening, Graham was able to make it through that same Frankie trick. Didn't get it first try, accidentally bonked the Frankie on the ceiling once, but is now through. Graham is going to be faced probably with her own fast Nautilus attempt coming up in just a moment.
Yes, indeed. Either going for fast Stormless, or I can also decide to just break the floor instead. I am not quite sure how the charge jump dash kind of variant works on the break, if it works, but if it does, that would technically save a little bit of time, since our runners already got the ability set beforehand. But seems to be not happy with the shot, returning for another attempt. Does not get the free setup that you have from having a mouse cursor on that. I think that kind of looked like controller angling to me. Let's see if the rocks break. They do not. Graham gonna need to take a dive to walk back up and try again. On the other hand, on the right side here, try to setting up to start his final escape even before the 30-minute mark. Will reload the game. Let's see. Do we get a first try door warp? Of course we do. Why am I even asking? And with this, we are off to the final escape.
Yeah, this final escape I don't imagine will pose Tritonite too many issues. The only really challenging part is going to be the final room, because without Feather you can't easily float past that Kuro cutscene trigger, and without Double Jump you can't easily get around to the wall. Tritonite does have fish strats as an available option.
Yes, indeed he does. And off we go into the final escape over the rock, below the meteors. No problem, Jet Dash makes you invulnerable into the lantern room. Can just spam 3 C dashes here. Doesn't have to worry about distance with his charge dash. Can now kind of bait out the elemental shot, dash over to it, and we are over into the S room. At this point, the rest of this is basically just a thing to execute on. Nothing questionable anymore. Gets the fish out of the water. Needs like 2 more bashes to set up the position here, and will rocket jump up, and he is out in less than a minute.
That's very impressive. I don't think this is going to be the fastest seed of the tournament. We may have seen that yesterday, but this is going to be probably the second fastest. Tritonite executed that entire thing extremely well. I also want to point out, by the way, Graham on the left finding stop, that's pretty cool. Tritonite made that final escape look easy, but there's a lot of little minor details that if you were to try that escape yourself, you'll notice, oh, you die if you don't break the wall in this way, you die to the fire if you don't bash the fish in the right way. So that just really shows off all that all that detailed knowledge that Tritonite has on how to perform various moves in this game with these skill sets. It's part of what makes him a formidable opponent. Very much well played.
Yes, indeed. That execution from the start of the seed, honestly, all the way to the end was just incredibly clean from Tritonite here. Now heading off to float Ori into the background, a bird swooping down, and with this we are just one narrow walk away from Triton's official race time. Meanwhile, on the left, Graham choosing different ordering for her left side clear. Going to the Judgment tree first, maybe wants to know the clue already at this point, because if you get a Soundstone is in sorrow right here, you want to know that before you need to do all those rocket jumps and zombies again. But now Grim kinda...
Sorry, just the walls in Ori are sometimes slippery. Collision tends to be pretty literal to the terrain that you're looking at, and so sometimes you just kind of get stuck. Anyway, nice safety save. A death by Graham is not going to matter opening up her save anywhere. Yeah, so GG to Tritonite. We now get to enjoy Graham taking an alternate approach. Is that a save drop down there?
Yes, probably already forgetting that she has no, or just wanting to show off. She probably saw the finish from Tritonite just now at 31.
Well, look at her ability cells. Look at her ability cells, though. Graham doesn't have the ability points to easily zombie like Tritonite did. It did have one since we just saw that SA, so maybe Graham would have been able to do it, but maybe this is something she feels more comfortable with. Or, as you said, it might just be a way to show a different tech. Trying to double bash this tumbleweed up through the thing, this is possible, it's just a little precise.
Yeah, you need to be extremely careful, kind of hugging the wall at this area where the laser is burning you, and you're trying to bash the very thing stopping you from being instantly grilled. If she does have Storm, so she could have stomped the peg to the left, but and deactivated laser might actually, yeah, jumps through the crack and remembers that she can do that. Will now deactivate the laser and try to get her tumbleweed back. Little dance here, but yeah, with this we are off to our tumbleweed strats here, where you double bash this thing with a series of about 20 to 30 double bashes all the way through the Rito caves.
Well, you know, if you can do one double bash, you can do a trillion. Why not? Ouch. That laser is hot and spicy.
Yeah, that must have hurt quite a bit. Also, showing off how a tumbleweed doesn't have collision after you double bash it, can just walk right through it. Sadly, there was a laser right below it, so that hurt. Now has to get the bash angle correct again. This crack is very finicky, but somehow if you bash straight up, you just go through it, and Ori with you. So now we can go back to grabbing that tumbleweed. Alright, luckily no annoying frog in the way to get our tumbleweed out of sorrow, so there will be no problem in that regard. Can now get the tumbleweed back up, and I did not know it can actually stay in place there before.
Neither did I, actually.
That's an interesting position. All right, but with this, we finally got our tumbleweed. The tumbleweed is free, and we can start double bashing it all the way through our tasty spike caves.
Yeah, I do want to point out, by the way, we're going to interview Tritonite. We're just going to wait until Graham gets here first. Oh no. Okay, yeah, I forgot. The tumbleweed is much lighter than Ori somehow, and so it floats in even when Ori does not. We have this long double bash sequence. As you said, Graham does have enough health to survive one additional hit on these spikes. Although, of course, it's a little nicer if you cannot take that damage. So far, so good. Putting this thing in position. Just one more should be needed. Good.
Alright, and has enough keystones. Very well done, Graham. Thanks for showing that straight up. But with this, we have Tritonite on deck. Let's get him in here. GG Tritonite. Is this the kind of seed you were looking for?
Yeah. Thanks for the GG. This was exactly the seed I wanted.
Yeah,
didn't need the
Tritonite, I have... Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I have a specific question for you. After a point in the seed, I think you already had Bash and Dash and Charge Jump. You actually decided to check some of the pickups to the right of that Blackroot laser, like rather than going straight to Grenade Tree, you went and checked some of the laser stuff. I'm curious why you did that.
Well, the laser pickups are dash locked, so I figured if Stomp was somewhere early or Climb, like if we were supposed to use Swamp TP to get Climb or Stomp, then there could be something dash locked in the lasers. And that's what I thought. But then the XP numbers were so high, I figured there's probably nothing dash locked.
Sure, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, nice knowledge plays there. I actually have one other question about your early routing, in particular after clearing out Blackroot and finding that bash there. You had the option to either go through Death Gauntlet and get the teleporter and then do the checks, or go into double jump 3 directly through double bashing the Fronky in the Blackroot area. And we also saw Graham do the exact same as you. Is that just a usual thing you do, where you like to get the Grotto teleporter and Death Gauntlet out of the way first, or what were your thoughts there?
I usually only use the lower route if I already have blue breakage. I just feel like I skip too many pickups, and I have gotten bitten by the Glide Vault also by forgetting to check it later if I use the lower route, so...
I want to point out briefly that Graham found her Sunstone. Sorry, continue.
I wanted to check the upper pickups, like the Death Gauntlet pickups and that anyway, so figured might as well do it now, because I still need to find more stuff anyway.
Yeah, very fair, and in the end we did not find any intended blue breakage at all in the entire seed, so wonder where that got. Grim, do you have any more questions for our runner here?
Yeah, I just have one more. We were kind of wondering in the early maybe 10-15 minutes into the seed whether you were strictly in go mode, because the final escape was probably possible, but it would have been difficult, and then you found that clean water up in Ginso. I'm curious whether finding clean water like affected your willingness to go full go mode, or whether you were pretty comfortable with the full go mode already.
I guess I was comfortable already. I knew that because I had already done Ginso, so Misty would be my 9th tree, so I didn't really have to worry about Sorrow either. Because I'd be finding a lot of stuff in Misty, trying to check for Sunstone.
Yeah, that's fair. With this, I just have one very quick question for you with your upcoming match. I think it's against the loser of Guard vs Trojan. Do you have any thoughts for that matchup?
I think they're both very thorough players, so I might have to end up checking that Grotto mini-boss in that race.
Very fancy. Thanks for the interview. Kaito, if you want to, you can stay with us and watch Graham as she sets up for her final escape, getting through the door warp, and yeah, we are watching the Worm's Return cutscene as we speak right now.
Yes, Tritonite was able to make it through this escape first try, which, as we said, was not the hardest escape, but also certainly not the easiest one. Having Feather and or Double Jump would make this sequence a lot faster. We'll see how Graham does. Graham has access to all of the same skills and abilities. We have no skill disparity.
And we're already seeing very similar strats here, getting with those strategic items through the meteors without caring about them. It goes for the stomp instead, takes 3 damage right here in the fire, but she does have the health reach. Everything is fine still, unless she gets trolled by a fish or the fire right here. Going for a bit safer ass movement here now into the fish drop, will bash off, gets her second fish out. That is still mandatory with the skill set. Oh, that fish!
Oh no!
That went into the fire. Alright, let's do it again, maybe with less than 3 damage boosts in the elemental room this time. Off we go again through the meteors into the lantern room. The lantern room still very fast, can just bash straight up and then charge this 3 times in a row. Will she go for the stomp again? No, now goes for the same strats that we saw with Trito. Falls off the elemental shot twice, no. Alright. Gets out. This time she does have more than 0 HP, but it is still not a lot. Let's hope the fish cooperates a bit more through the S, going down into the fish, and let's see if she can get that fish out of the water without dropping it straight into the fire. Takes a hit off the fish, but that's not the problem this time. Now gets a rocket jump off, bashes the Sigma rock at the top for good measures, and GG Graham.
Yeah, we call that rock a Sigma rock because a runner named Sigma has died to it, and he's the only person who has ever died to those rocks. That's why they're named after him.
Yes, indeed. No one has ever gotten trolled by those rocks, especially not on 0 HP after a rocket jump off a fish. But
Yeah.
Go
Jokes
ahead.
aside, that's good awareness by Graham to just bash and say, you know what, I'm low health. Let's not mess around. Let's just get the heck out of here.
Well, yeah, with this, Graham just has to hold right for a bit, about a minute here until we get her final time. And maybe we can take the time to talk a bit. This is not the only match we have today, right?
That's correct. In fact, we have one more match. We will hopefully get to talk with Graham. The next match coming up after this one is at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Not on this same channel, but on SpeedGaming 2. That match is going to be Fupio versus Turtle, commentated by Zem again, and Solarian.
Yes, so definitely come back for that afterwards. But for now, Graham is into Naru. There's one final decision to be made for this run. And there we
Yes.
see it. Optimal we go, hopping all the way through the fire. GG Graham, finishing about 10 minutes later at the time of 42:05. And with
You
this,
love to see it.
getting a bit of an lowering the menu, the credits unit because we've all been struck by that. But yeah, GG Graham, and let's see if she will come around for an interview or decides not to go for it.
Yeah, 42-ish minutes is still a fast time for an Ori randomizer seed, especially in the current version of the randomizer. Sometimes you can get these egregious paths that just send you all over the place and can be very, very slow. Welcome, Graham. Congratulations on finishing the seed.
Hello, ni hao. Graham said she almost swallowed a bug. Oh wait, I'm so never using Google Translate ever again. You're fired, Siri. Sorry. You were saying?
So,
Thank you
when
for the
Tritonite-
GG.
Yeah, you're welcome. When Tritonite joined, both of you were hoping for a jet seed. You were using that wall-starved flag. Did this seed
Oh,
fulfill your expectations?
speaking about wall stuff, I completely forgot I had wall jump for the final escape. Throughout the elemental room, I was like, wow, sea dashing and stomping the floor, and then realized, oh no, I don't have wall interaction and I'm going to die. And then, the elemental shot a shot, double bash, made it to the fish killed me. Then I went back again, and I realized, oh wait, I have wall jump. And then I was waiting for the elemental to shoot me in the end, and he wouldn't shoot, and I couldn't grab the shot. I still died anyway. Tragic ending. But I'm glad Trito won. Really, really glad. GG to you, Trito. Whee! Unmute.
GG to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I want to
Well-
ask you another question, Graham. Obviously, this seed gave you both some power skills relatively early. I asked Tritonite whether he would have felt comfortable with the final escape before you found clean water. Like, at what point in the seed you felt like you were totally done? I'm curious where that point was for you, or whether you were continuing to check pickups for resources.
I already had 7 health, so basically when I went down to Valley, I was basically just trying to get Ultra Defense at that point of time. I believe I had about 6 health, so I was pretty comfortable, not too shabby. It would have been tight, but I knew that I could make it because I was hoping to get lucky with at least 1 more health find, because I would be very well prepared if I had 7 health and ultra defense, and I wasn't that far away from ultra defense. And thanks to the numerous numbers of failed rocket jumps, somehow Stomp was discovered. So that actually made me that made the escape even easier, because by then I would have needed 5 health. So it didn't really matter at the point of time, and then finding clean water was basically a bonus at the same time. I was tentatively worried that Sunstone could have been in Ginzo, the shoulda, coulda, woulda, and should I have activated the TP in the first place? Should I have key tube extra? And the fact that because I played 2 seeds today, which somehow accidentally deleted by themselves midway, because I had 2 times in a row Water Vein at Grumon Seal. So I was kind of worried that my fate would be very unlucky and that Sunstone would be at Grumon Seal. After seeing the clue that Sunstone was in Misty, I panic. I totally panic. But it turns out, and this set of skills was actually kind of fun to do the final escape with. It was a challenge. It's not easy, but it was fun. And I really liked the amount of skills, the minimal skills and the challenge that it came with. And we got to play with the tumbleweed and show us some stuff. Hey, if I'm going out with a bang, right?
I like it.
Thank you. I'll be here for tonight only.
Yeah. Well, Zem, any other questions for Graham?
Let me think. Actually, no. I think we're good here.
Yeah. Thank
I'm
you.
gonna steal Grim and Zem's job. Well, folks, don't go anywhere. We're gonna have one more race on Speed Gaming 2 today, so be sure to tune in your eyes. You peeled your eyes to your monitor. We have a race between Monsieur Papa Fopio versus Mr. Turtle. Slowly but surely, we don't know who's gonna win, so be sure to tune in on Speed Gaming 2. All right, is that good, director? Am I okay?
Yeah. Yeah. So we have been Zem, Grim, and Grandma on commentary for this match. Thanks for joining us. Thank you. Thank you to Ernest and Liftoff for help on the tracking side, and Apple Tree was our restreamer.
Yeah, and thank you, Grim, for signing up for all future commentary shifts. Love it, and thank all of you for watching.
You.
Remember to tune in later. That's it for us for now, and see you all in a few hours for the next match.